Hello there, welcome back to Jennie Designs with Paper. Thanks for stopping by my channel today. I'm working on an art journal page, so get comfy and let's get crafty. I'm once again a little behind the times. These are the 5 weekly prompts for the month of August for the Mission Inspiration Facebook group. They were mystery, cosmic, growth, wild, and balance. And I am once again going to take these 5 weekly prompts and make one art journal page, and it came together really nice, I think. So check out what I did. So to start with, I'm kind of mixing the mystery and the cosmic one together. But to start with the mystery, I'm working on my gel plate. And I have a piece of a paper towel roll. I've got a bottle, a piece of string. I've got some acrylic paints that are red, yellow, orange, pink, and my brayer and some copy paper. So the first thing I'm going to do is, I'm kind of experimenting with how I like to get the best prints off of my gel plates. So the first thing I did was put a little bit of paint in the 4 quadrants of my gel plate, and then I brayered that around. Now, like always, the red overtook things a little bit, which I should have known, and put much less red on and probably brayered it out last. But also the orange kind of took over things too, so I don't know. I did use my smaller brayer on this. I was looking for some less even brush strokes. I also think I should have switched the orange and the pink so that there was a little less easy to blend between the orange and the yellow. So I'm brayering this around and wiping off my brayer on a clean off sheet next to me, like right there where you can see it. I did get some kind of a paint chip in my gel plate, so I had to clean that off with my fingernail. And then I'm going to take this little piece of paper towel, the core to the paper towels, and I'm just going to make some circles on my background plate. And this is kind of a nod to the idea of cosmic. And so for my thought process with the mystery and the cosmic was this idea that like black holes and deep space are still such a mystery to us, even as much as we have learned. I saw on somebody's Insta reel, and I can't remember whose it was, they used string on their gel plate. I think I chose too thick of a string because I did not like how it turned out at all on my print. So we're going to pretend that never happened and move right along. That was not going to be the paper I used anyway. That was kind of like my first pull, not the one I want to use. So I'm going to add some white acrylic paint on top of this and brayer that out. I have also learned, as I've been watching other artists use their gel plate, that you get better prints if your ink that's on your gel plate is drier than wet. And if you leave your paper on your gel plate for a while and let it kind of, I don't know, dry isn't quite the right word, but dry. And so I've been trying to put down lighter layers of paint and leave the paint air drying on my gel plate before I add the paper a little bit. And so like right here, I kind of left this part in so I could show you I'm trying. I cleaned up my desk. I left the paper and I couldn't stand it anymore. I don't know if I waited long enough, but I got a pretty decent print. Like a good majority of that paint came up and I kind of like that. And that was like, okay, it's a little too color blocky though. I wanted it a little less color blocky. I don't know if that's the right phrase. So anyway, my idea behind the mystery and the cosmic, I'm just going to keep talking about that while you watch me continue to add more and more layers of paint to my prints. But my idea was this idea of the mystery that still exists in our solar system and in our universe, right? We don't know a lot of what exists outside our own solar system. And what we do know is still very mysterious. And so I went with this idea of putting the red and the pink and the orange and the yellow in the, see, I'm fan drying the paint. I'm putting these colors in the center of my art journal page to kind of be like that center of, I can't even think of the right phrase now. Like, I am not the space. I need my kid in here to help me with these words. The center of a constellation or something where it's bright and then it gets darker as you pull away from the star that is brightest in that constellation, right? So I'm still not quite liking or still not quite in love with the layers or the blocking that I'm getting here. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to avoid that exactly, except I'm just going to keep trying. And every layer, I put some more of those little circles down with the cap it's like a water bottle cap and the toilet paper roll or the paper towel core. I just keep cutting pieces off that paper towel center until I have none left. So I'm just going to keep pulling prints and keep pulling prints. And eventually I got to what I kind of liked. And there's not this. Like I'm looking at my gel plate and I'm like, there's lots of stuff on here. Like I'm seeing lots of texture that I like. And it's not quite as visible because it's kind of light. So what I decided to do now was to add another layer of that white to pull a print. But it's very, very, like you saw, 1 or 2 little drops there. And I'm going to put that piece down again because that white will kind of push what is already on the paper to the background and cover it up some. And I'm doing this mostly to see what I can get off my plate. And that's better, but still not quite. So I went ahead and like, okay, how can I fix this? This is sped up like double speed. And I did edit out the parts where I was stopping to think and process what I wanted to do. And I even at one point in time went back on Instagram and looked at some gel print maker, like I searched gel printing, and watched how some people kind of got that less blocky, more blended look. And this is where I put the yellow and orange opposite each other and the pink and the red opposite each other. And I think that helped smooth out the edges, but it also prevented like the red from overtaking the pink and the orange from overtaking the yellow. The red still kind of overtook everything, but it's red and it's going to. And by not cleaning off my brayer, was able to tone that red down some. And then I kind of pushed that yellow into it, and that was even better. So I'm like, okay, I'm liking this. This is kind of where I'm trying to get here. So we're going to add some more circles with my mark making tools that are technically trash, but you know, one man's trash is another man's treasure. One crafter's trash is another crafter's treasure. And then I went through my stencil collection, and I have this full-size stencil that I got on Amazon years ago before I even started mixed media arting. Is that a word? Arting? And I'm like, okay, this is what I like. So I'm going to dry it. I'm going to let it dry. I'm going to air dry it. I'm going to hand dry it. I'm going to try and be patient. I'm going to add just a little bit of that white acrylic paint. I'm going to spray it over the top. And this is going to pull that color off for me. And this is kind of like, I'm like, okay, I think this is going to be it. I think this is going to be it. So I'm cleaning off my brayer while that paint dries a little bit. And I'm using one of the older papers. I'm actually using my first clean off sheet as my pickup page this time because it does have the background. It's got some texture back in there. There's circles on there, not that you can see them. And there's a shadow of that string that did not work out how I wanted it to. And this one, I put it away. I walked into my bathroom, I filled up the sink and rinsed off my stencil. I even got a drink of water and talked to my dog down because he was barking at all. She was barking at all the things. And I pulled the print, and it was just a little bit too dark, but almost there. So I decided to go ahead and put another layer of that white acrylic paint and on my gel plate. There we go. Words are hard. And I grabbed a clean piece of paper this time. I think the reason I didn't like that pull or that print was because I used a dirty piece of paper or an already used piece of paper. So I grabbed a clean piece of copy paper, and this is just 32-pound copy paper. It's not fancy paper. And then I was like, yes, look at all the texture. You can see the circles. You can see the stencil. I'm like, yes, this is it. So I cleaned off my desk and put everything away. And then I decided I need to cut this down. I need it to be like 5.5 by 8. So I trimmed out the pieces I wanted. I wanted to be able to see the stenciling. I'm not super concerned about the end not having a lot of paint on it because it's going to get covered up anyway. But since this is copy paper, I needed something to back it on. So I grabbed a piece of 120-pound black cardstock. And I just cut that in half. And then I trimmed this down to actually be 5 1/4 by just, I didn't trim, it's going to be just under 8, so half a sheet of paper. So the second part of my Mystic Cosmos is to add some, the cosmos, right? I've got purple and blue and black distress paints, and I've got a paintbrush, and I'm just smearing that on around the edge. There is no rhyme or reason or method or anything to this except making a mess. And I did make a mess. And then I grabbed a tissue. I wanted to see if this would smear with a tissue as opposed to like a baby wipe. And the places where I had lots of paint smeared pretty decent. The places where it was more dry, not as well. So this time I'm going to grab the blue. I think it's Seedless Preserves and Chipped Sapphire, I think are the colors, but purple and blue. And this time I used a wet wipe to kind of smear that around. And that faded it back a little bit more than I wanted. It was kind of a dry-ish wet wipe, but faded it back a little more than I wanted. So I brought that purple back in, and I'm going to use the wet wipe to add that purple back in. It kind of got faded out by the blue, right? So I needed to add some of that purple back in. And so then I got this wet wipe, and this one is like out of the package wet, but not sopping wet because it's not, I forget to close my package all the time. So once I had the blue and the purple down, I went ahead and heat set that with my heat tool, and I wanted to add black. And first I pulled out my archival ink and an ink blending foam. But as I was putting this on, because it's copy paper, it's just wrinkling and the ink is not smearing over that acrylic paint very well. So I said, forget it. Let's just get that black distress ink. It's like black soot or something like that. And I've got a wet paper towel, wet wipe again. And I'm just kind of fading that in and out with the wet wipe. And it does use a lot of paint to do this. I mean, but let's be honest, sometimes it feels like we're never going to use it. Like I've had these distress paints in my drawers for literally years. And because I use them so little at a time, some of them have dried out before I've used them all. Okay, so I need to stop being such a saver when it comes to my craft supplies and just use them. Okay, so this is all done. I'm liking how this is turning out, but we've got to add the stars to that cosmos thing. So this is Liquitex white gouache, and I think my nozzle is a little clogged, but it worked. So I put that gouache on my desktop, and I got my splat box and a fan brush, and I am just splatting that page into, it's got all the splats on it. And then I pulled out a gold acrylic paint, and I watered that down as well with a wet paintbrush, and I added some gold splatters to the page, which I think is looking phenomenal. I'm like loving how this looks. It's looking very, very Cosmo mystery to me, and it was like, yay, it's working. Sometimes you have those days where it just works, right? I did want to add some more circles to this page, kind of a nod to the prompt card and then a nod to like planets and moons and things like that are in our solar system and our universe. So I got that white distress paint out again, and I put it on my desk and just picked up the edges with that water bottle cap and the paper towel circle, or the paper towel cardboard piece. The words are hard. The paper towel roll part kind of collapsed and didn't stay exactly around, but it's okay because I'm not hating it. I'm like, I kind of like this. And I stopped. I got it, that top leftish corner, and I stopped. I didn't keep going because moderation in all things. So I am going to put this on the black paper now, and I knew that acrylic paint was probably not dry, so I just used that black cardstock to sop it up. And my Tombow glue was not coming out. I don't know if it's empty or clogged, so I just pulled out double-sided adhesive. This is my Suquane tape that I purchased from scrapbook.com, and this is a 1/2 inch, and it's a super, super sticky, very strong double-sided adhesive, so I'm not worried about my page not sticking. It will be fine. I have never had a problem with using this on my art journal pages, and I've been art journaling for, gosh, a long time now. So I put my page down on that black cardstock, and then I need to trim off that top edge just to kind of make it even. And then I can go on and move into our next couple of prompts. So we have mystery and cosmic, and the next one is growth. And this was the one that I had the hardest time with. So what I ended up doing, I have this Honeybee Stamps die cut set. It's the foliage layers. And I have a whole bunch of pieces already cut out. Some of them are vellum, some of them are varying shades of green cardstock. And my initial plan was to use the vellum, but it just kind of disappeared more than I wanted. So I am zoom speeding through how I chose the foliage I was going to use for that growth prompt. It's not, it is what it is. It's greenery, it's growing. And to give it that growth look, I used 3 different colors of green and 3 different, like some of these are pieces that I cut off to use on another project and just put the remaining part of it back in the packaging. So I'm just going to have this grow up the side of my page. There's my nod to growth. It's my art journal page. I can cry if I want to. Sometimes they all go together perfectly, and sometimes you have to make it work. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I am going to Tim Gun this all the way to the end, and I'm going to make it work. So I have 3 shades of green of the same foliage dye, and I'm just putting that up the right-hand side of my page. And actually, when the page comes together, it's all right. It works. It might not be all matchy-matchy, perfect, but it works. It works. So I've got my growth on there, and I need to go over this with some, this is Liquitex Matte Medium. I need to make this page a little bit less porous, a little more non-porous, because I'm going to be doing some shading, and I need the surface to not be paper. I need it to be coated paper. So we're going to put a little bit of liquid medium all over this page. This is a matte medium. And then I'm going to add my wild. So for my wild, I grabbed an elephant because I love elephants. I think they are amazing. And I don't know, I just love elephants. But also, the next prompt is balance. And I found the idea of an elephant and balance and this beach ball that I'm going to throw on here to be the perfect combination. So I have sized this ball to go underneath these elephant feet. And these are images that I got public domain off the internet. I'm just going to put this elephant on top of this beach ball. So that is either a really small elephant or a gigantic ball. I am gluing those down, adhering those down with that matte medium. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a quote. And my quote says, let me make sure I get the words in the right order. Life is all about balance. Because let me tell you, my friends, I have had to balance a lot the last few weeks. I know I've kind of mentioned that life has been a little crazy around here. And I thought when my kids got older, it would get less crazy. Except that as my kids get older, I find myself involved in more things, if that's even possible. So life is all about balance. In order to pull that elephant up to the front, the focal image of my art journal page, but also to make it look as though he belongs there, I'm going to outline him with my pit pens. Pit pens are India ink, and for just a second on a non-porous surface, they are movable. I can take my finger and smooth them out, and it creates a shadow. So I'm using all the colors that I possibly can. I'm using the orange around the beach ball, especially down there on the bottom where I didn't cut it perfectly. I'm using the purple and the gray around the elephant, and even the brown around the elephant. I'm using the green around the face of the elephant where he's covering or overlapping on the foliage. And at some point in time here, I even had to stop and walk away and come back another day. That's how crazy my life is. Like, I've left everything on my desk, and I told everybody in my house, don't touch anything on my desk. Don't move it, because I got to come back and finish this. So my fingernail polish is probably different. I'm clearly not wearing any of my wedding ring or any of my other rings in this picture. To be fair, I don't wear my wedding ring my actual wedding ring when I craft, because my wedding ring has a pearl in it and pearls are fragile. So I usually wear some other ring on my wedding ring finger because, it feels weird to not have it after 30 years. 30 years, yeah. All right, so I added some of the green pit pen around the foliage, and just the shading to that elephant alone makes it look phenomenal. I am going to go ahead and date this. I'm dating it August because these are the August prompts, even though I created it in September. I know, a little bit of a cheat. I'm going to adhere this printout of the prompts to the back of my art journal page, and, then I know what I did, why I did it. And then I'm going to punch holes in it so that it can go into my art journal binder. I keep all of my art journal pages in an A5 size binder. And I love how this turned out. Like the elephant on the beach ball, it's like the perfect metaphor for my life. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed my video. I have a couple of other videos here I think you would like as well. I've also added that subscribe button. If you haven't subscribed, I would love it if you did. Leave me a comment down below and tell me how you balance your life. Give me a thumbs up if you liked the video, and have a really great day.